Hey guys, welcome back to another video in InfoSec Pat. In today's video, we're going to be doing another VulnHub walkthrough with my file server. So, like I always say, this is all for educational purposes to learn the methodology about doing capture the flags and all that stuff. So these are free. You can download from VulnHub. I'm going to show you guys that shortly. I already downloaded my VM. I downloaded the OVA already, and I imported it into my hypervisor. So it's already set up. So let's get into that. Remember, this is all for educational purposes. This is all in my network, so there's no craziness going on. All right, so as you guys can see here, right here we have my Kali Linux box. And let's go ahead and open up, I want to come on this screen. Oops, not that. This. So this is the vulnerable system right here. And this is in VirtualBox. I'm running this. So we don't know the IP address. Well, I think I do, but because there's not too many devices on that network. But this is my vulnerable machine, so I can just minimize that and keep that off to the side. Actually, I want to bring it back over here and minimize that, just so we can get it out of the way for now. All right, so this is my Kali box, and I'll put this VulnHub machine in the description below, so you guys can download it and follow along if you want to, and whatever you want to do with it, right? Learn. So my file server 1, so it was released in February 21st, 2020, so it's not that old of a machine. So the description is NA. There's not much going on here. Right? I did do this box. I did it in class, so I just figured I can do a walkthrough on this machine and have some fun. All right, so let's get started. So like always, we have to, I did already a Nmap Scan. So if I cat vuln server, we already have, I already ran the Nmap Scan, right? So I wanted to try to save time. So this is the results, right? We have FTP running, we have SSH running, we have port 80. And then what I also did, so let's go ahead, I can ping, I think it's 22, right? So now I can also ping my file server .com, and it's also resolving that because I put it in. So if I cat etc host, I have 172.16.1.22 pointing to my fileserver.com. Because I can never remember IP addresses, so I figured this will be easier for me. So this is what I did, okay? So let's clear that. And we have nothing in here, right? So that's good. That's just running neofetch. So let's go ahead, whoops, and go back here, and we can look at our Nmap Scan, right? So if you don't know how to find the IP address, you can do a net discover or an ARP scan on your local network. Make sure if you're running this in VirtualBox or virtualization technology or like VMware, make sure it's on the same network because you want to make sure those two nodes can communicate, your Kali box and your VulnHub machine. All right, so what looks interesting here, let's pop open Cherry Tree so I can document some stuff. Whoa, what did I just do? I think let's close this. Let's try this again. Cherry Tree. All right, so let's open up a new note. So I'm going to put my file server. Okay, and under here I'm going to put Nmap. Okay, and then with here we have our Nmap Scan. So let's just copy all this. I started getting into this habit, and I think it's an awesome habit to get into, is just documenting everything on the go, right? As you go, so you just remember things. That's note taking is super critical, especially for pen testing and doing all that stuff. So let's add another note. The next note we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and see what's actually running on this file server, right? So let's just go ahead and put in here web scan, because we're going to be running a web scan shortly. And we'll get those results in a bit. So we know port 80 is running, and we know port 445, which is Samba. So we can do oh my God, SMB scanning. But also I want to go ahead and check out the server, right? So let's go to myfileserver.com, and we my file server. This is pointing to my local 172.16.1.22. All right, this is easier for me to remember. Cool, so we can inspect the element, see if there's anything in here. Not really. So the next thing we can do is see if there's any README directories or README files or any robot.txt. Let's see if there's anything there. Robots.txt. Whoops. .txt. Nothing found. All right, so there's nothing in there. So let's go back. And what we can do now is open up another command shell, and we can do Nikto. So what is Nikto? Nikto is a web scanning tool. So we can do Nikto. I can do 22 here, which would be the same thing. Or I could have done myfileserver.com, but that was already there in the I don't know, autofill or whatever you want to call that. So let that do its thing. It's going to find some files. Once that finds its files, then we can copy that content that we gathered and put it into our cherry tree, so we can make sure everything is documented good everything is good in the hood. Okay, so we have something here. All right, cool. More things. So we have this readme.txt. This might be interesting. So that's, raising some interest, right? So let's just do a Control-C here. I want to go ahead and copy this and throw this in our cherry tree. Okay. So let's look at readme.txt. Okay. Copy this. Minimize that. Let's go back to our website. And whoa, all right, so my password is root1. That's pretty interesting, right? So, but what is that password to? I don't know. Like, what is the username? What is something that we can scan to see if there's any users on that box? All right, so I want to actually copy this, put this in our cherry tree, add another note. I'm going to put password found. Okay, cool deal. So let's minimize that. So now we have this password. Now, next thing we could do is run. So let's go back to our scan here. So we can see that port 445 is running SMB, right? So now what we can do is do an SMB scan, which is SMB mapping. So we can do SMB map, and we can just hit enter here. We can see all the options, all the switches, okay? So what we're going to do is a -h for host, okay? IP or host name. So let's do that, -h, and I want to put myfileserver.com. See if that works. Boom. Now we get SMB data and SMB user. So these are both on that server, but there's two different things here, right? We have SMB user has no access, and then we have SMB data, which has read and write. So we can try to use both of these and maybe try to SSH to it. We can, whatever the case may be. But I want to copy this user, right? Let's actually copy this whole thing. Copy this, and then let's go back to our cherry tree and add another note for SMB, Nmap Scan, and then paste that. So now we have that in our notes. Okay. So one thing we're going to do is if we go back here, we have SSH running, right, with a 2048, 2048 bits, right? So this is RSA. So now what we can do is generate a key, right? Let's generate this key. Let's actually clear this out. So what we're going to do is do SH right here. SSH keygen-B, which is for bits, which we can do at 2048. Okay, we can do enter here because we want to save it to that default directory. Enter, enter. Now we should have that in there. So now let's go ahead and see if it's in there. So now if we go back here, let's clear this, do an ls. Now we have these two files here, right? Now we're making some progress, right? So now we can try to FTP, because we know FTP services is open, right? Like port 21 was open because we can go back to the Nmap Scan and go all the way up here. We have FTP. So let's go ahead and try to FTP to our box, right? So FTP 22, that's fine because that's the IP address. Okay, so the name we can utilize is SMB user, and our password is going to be that root1. I think I fat fingered that. Boom. Now we have FTP access to that box. So now we can do ls. I want to delete this because I already did this box, like I said, but I want to walk you through everything. Let's do a little help here. And what we can do is delete, and I want to delete this guy. And then delete the kernel exploit. I should have done this before, but that is what it is. All right, so let's do the up arrow again. Okay, ls-la, and now those aren't there. Actually, I want to remove this SSH as well. Okay. Why did that remove? .sh. Interesting. Let's try to cd into that. All right, so let's delete this. The authorized keys. All right, so let's do cd. All right, ls. All right, so now let's try to rm.ssh. Now it's not there, okay? So now we don't have that there anymore. So now we're good. Now we're starting from a clean slate. All right, and this is good to see as well, I think. You know, like if you get stuck or whatever, like this is, I don't know, I think this is pretty good. All right, so obviously I'm going to be making a directory with I'm just going to name it .ssh. So I want to be mkdir, which I just deleted, but I want to do the whole process with you guys. Okay, so now that was created, now we can do, and now it's back. You know, there we go. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put this key, right? Let's do an ls here now. Not there, my bad. Let's go like this. Let's cd root.ssh. Whoops. .ssh. SSH. Come on. Oh, come on. ls. So let's clear this out. So if we do an ls here, we have this in this directory, right? We have these files, these RSA keys. So now let's go ahead and use. So if we do help again, what we're gonna do is put. Like, where's the put? We're gonna do put, and then we're gonna put that key onto our FTP server. Okay, so you can do put, and that was in root.ssh, and then id_RSA.pub, and then we're gonna do authorized keys. I'm just gonna copy this here. Okay. Now we do an ls. Boom. Now we are good. We see that here. And I think we are ready to go. So now, excuse me. Oh man, ow. That hurt. So now let's go back here. Sorry, the lights are on. I can't really see with the glare. So I want to open up another terminal. Okay, and let's do sudo su All right, so now what we're going to try to do is SSH to that box using those keys that we just generated. All right, so let's do SSH, SMB user. So if I hit enter, technically we shouldn't be prompted for a password. Yes, and access denied. Let's go ahead and see what happened here. Let's do PWD. Okay, I see what I did. All right, so I know what I did. So what we have to do is we're going to copy this. Let's go ahead and delete authorized keys. I put this in the wrong directory, which is all good. Okay, and now ls-la, it's gone. So let's cd to now ls-la. Now we have nothing in there. Let's go ahead and use this. And we're going to put this key in the right place now. Boom. ls. Now we have it pwd. Now we're in the right directory. Now let's go ahead and do this again. And now we're in that box. You see that? So you have to be careful. You know, we're human. I make the mistake sometimes, and we just have to realize what mistake we made in order to correct it. Okay? So now we're in that box. You know, who am I? So now, if config, we're pretty much on that box. You know, blah, blah, blah. Okay? ID. So right now we are SMB user, right? So now what we have to do is escalate the permissions, right? So what we can do here is use uname-r. So we can see that, just put uname-a for all. We can just give us everything. So we have a Linux server, right? Linux file server, and we're running 3.10.0, you know, dash 229, right? So we know, you know, if you're familiar with these exploits, you know, like we can go ahead and copy this. Let's go out to google.com and let's look, whoops. Okay, oh, I spelled it wrong. So now we can see here that we have some exploits out here, and I have this exploit right here. We're going to use Dirty Cow. So Dirty Cow, we can use this for privileged escalation. So what we're going to do is utilize this exploit to gain root access. Okay, so let's go back into here. We can do ls. So I want to go ahead and make a directory. Okay, or just temp. All right, so now we have some information here, but don't worry about that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to use an application called wget. We're going to pull that exploit down to our local machine. Okay, so and I want to show you exactly what I'm doing. I'm just, you know, I did the write-up already, so I don't want to. So right now we're going to use. So if we go back to, whoops, not there, sorry. If we go out here, this is pretty much the same one. This is not the same one, is it? No, it is not. Let's do the same one. It's going to be 40616 right here. So this Dirty Cow, this is the file that we're going to be using for exploiting this machine. So yeah, this is it right here. So right now, if we go back to our shell, so right now we're going to go ahead and pull that down, and then we're going to compile this with, we're going to name it exploit.c, which is C program C. So let's go ahead and copy that, or get it. So now if we do an ls, we can see that we have exploit.c. Okay, fair enough? Crap, man, that hurt. All right, so the next thing we have to do is pretty much compile that C to make it executable, right? So we can just Google really quick. Compile C program to be executed. Okay. So you can, I'm going to be using GCC. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy what I already did. but you can just Google that if you're not familiar with that process. All right, so we're going to go ahead and paste it here. So I'm going to be using the kernel exploit, which is what I want to name it, the -p thread, and then the file exploit.c. Okay, fair enough. So, okay. So next thing we're going to do is do an ls really quick. Now we have that here. Let's do clear. Let's start off with this. Now we have kernel -exploit, right? So if we do an ls-la to look at the permissions, we can see here the permissions for this exploit. Okay, so let's go ahead and change the modifications really quick. So we can do a chmod plus and then kernel exploit. So now we should be able to exploit this and run it. So let's do /kernel, and now this is going to go ahead and try to escalate the permissions to this box. And if we're in luck, we should get root access. Let's give it a moment, see if it works. Let's give this a second. Maybe more than a second. All right, let's do clear. Let's do this. Let's rm a cannot remove. Okay. Let's try to run this one more time again. There we go. All right, so now let's do who am I? Now I am root. Okay, so now let's go ahead and cd to root. Let's do an ls. We have that, so let's cd to root. ls. Now we have proof.txt. So if we cat that, that is our key. So this is pretty much best of luck, awesome. And now we have, let's minimize this. And now we have our key. Yay. All right, so that's pretty much the walkthrough on the file server box. Hopefully this has been informative for you guys and you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, just hit me up on the comments below or whatever. And until next time, guys, take care. Thank you.